Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have a special guest on my channel. Could you please introduce yourself?
Certainly. My name is Chanelle Coleman. Wesley, my author name is Chanelle Coleman. I'm so excited to be on your show today. Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Now, what is your genre and what attracted you to that genre?
My genre is women's empowerment, kind of self-help, definitely in the vein of devotionals, anything that's going to be uplifting, encouraging, and inspiring, because I just think that that's just so very necessary. And because I'm a woman, that kind of speaks to me. So that's the vein that I'm in.
Okay. How does writing help you to become more empowered in your purpose?
That's a really good question. I'm so glad you asked that question. Writing for me is very therapeutic. I want to say years back, I really suffered from, I'm a survivor of sexual abuse. And so there was a point in a period in my life where I felt incapable of really vocalizing things that I wanted or that I needed, especially when it didn't agree with what someone else's ideas were or what I perceived them to be. And so writing just has really allowed me to kind of take back that power and be able to own my voice. So I love writing. It's a space that I'm in, and I'm just excited about being here.
Okay. What inspired you to start writing?
That's the same thing. I think as just when you're dealing with very traumatic experiences, sometimes your mind just kind of creates different worlds and can take you to places that you would rather be other than where you are currently at that moment. So I've just always seen a life of stories, and I've been telling stories since I was a kid.
Okay. Now tell us about your publishing journey.
It's been amazing. I mean, truthfully, I should have been writing and just like releasing stuff like so many years ago, but I did not start until last year. So I'm very late bloomer on actually getting things published. But when I say I haven't just regretted a moment of it, I'm so excited to be in this space that I am in, and being able to connect with people really helps me in my journey as well.
Okay. Now, what is your writing process like?
It depends on what I'm writing, because I'm both a playwright as well as being an author. So it kind of depends on what that is. Generally, I like to write in bed. I don't like to really write at a table. Things that are comforting to me, that kind of make me feel, warm and safe and fuzzy. And then I just can kind of get lost in the pages. And there used to be a point where I used to write pen and paper, but I've progressed. I'm now, everything is on my phone. So if I have some minutes alone on my phone, guaranteed I'm writing up something, I'm doing something, I'm creating something.
Okay. Now, your first book, Naked and Not Ashamed.
Yeah.
Tell us about that book.
I actually the concept for that book came a few years back. My sister and a good friend of mine, we were taking our children down to a college days experience down at Oakwood University, and I was just really drawn by the worship service. We spent that time at Oakwood University Church, and at the time, Dr. Carlton Bird was the pastor at that time, and he was the director of Breath of Life Ministries. And that day, he really spoke on a woman in the Bible, and I can't remember which woman it was, and it was a familiar story, but just something in the way that he was telling it really helped me to resonate with that woman on a deeper level. And I just felt really impacted after hearing that. And I was just thinking, wow, I resonate with this woman on so many levels. I know so many other women can resonate with this woman's story as well. And so it really kind of took a journey from sharing stories from women in the Bible, some of their ups, their downs, their good, their bad, and their ugly. And then I shared some things about myself, because guess what? I have good days, I have bad days, but then again, I have ugly days too. And so I wanted the reader to be able to redefine her story, because sometimes you can experience something that's negative and it can kind of hijack your narrative. So I wanted the reader to be able to take back her own story.
Okay. Um, who is your target audience for this book?
Oh, for Naked and Not Ashamed,
Yeah.
anyone who is, in the evolution of their story, and that they could be at this process where they've come out on the other side and they're enjoying the power of their story. They could just be starting and trying to figure out how they're going to maneuver through the different nuances of their story, or they can be someone who's just really kind of stuck in between and trying to figure out what's my next move or where do I go from here. It really speaks to all those various women in their various phases.
Okay. Now, how did you come up with the title Naked and Not Ashamed?
You know what? I came from that because when I thought about, well, what am I going to tell a story about myself? I knew about the women in life. I knew instantly who were my favorites and who I wanted to draw in. But when I thought about myself, I was just thinking like, well, what story can I tell? And I was thinking, well, if I'm gonna tell a story, I would start at the beginning. And a lot of times when you deal with abuse, especially at an early age, you feel ashamed.
Yeah.
And there, like where I'm talking about being naked in my grandmother's room, and she sees me without any clothes, and she's like, Chanelle, where are your clothes? And I just instantly felt ashamed, and I felt like I had done something horribly wrong. And so I had to explain to her how I got that way. And so there was a time when I would tell that story feeling a lot of shame that I was naked. But this time when I was telling my story, I was coming from a place of empowerment. So I was naked and not ashamed. And that's really where it came from.
Wow. Okay, now tell us about the book cover.
Oh, I love the book cover.
I
She
do
is
too.
so this illustrator, her name is Jana Peterson. She does a phenomenal job. So I'm telling her, I'm like, okay, so I want a woman and I want her naked. I want her in the shower, but I don't want you to really be able to visibly see her. Like, I don't want raunchy, but I want it to be so women know that this is going to be exposing.
Right.
This is going to really get down into some layers of your story. And when I tell you, she just really hit it right on the head. As soon as I saw her, I'm like, yes, it's everything that I could have wanted. So she's naked in the shower, but there's kind of mirage, so you can't really make out her body to that degree, but you can tell that she's naked, but she's there and she is not ashamed. She's kind of just in her glory, flaws.
Right. That's how it came off too very well, very well. What do you want readers to take away from this book?
What I want them to take away is that Christ is impactful and he has the ability to change your story. So many people feel like their story, like they're lost within their story, or the things that happen to them in their story have kind of surrounded them and taken them down and they can't see their way out. I want to let them know that Christ has the ability to be able to step in no matter where they are in their story and take it and make it irrevocably beautifully and change it. So it's just, I don't even recognize that that's my story, but he just transcends. And so I want them to be able to understand that their story is beautiful. Their story has purpose, and God is going to do something amazing on the other end of that story.
Amen. Amen. Now, your new release.
I'm so excited to talk about it.
Now, briefly tell us about it, the name of it, and what it's about.
Okay, so She Said Yes to Herself, Unapologetically, the Empowerment Guide for Women. And what that conversation is about, it's about helping women to feel their worth, to recognize where God is leading them. And I believe it's 21 actionable steps on how a woman can take herself from waiting on it to walking in it. Because so many times as women, we're nurturers and we're giving up for everybody else, and we're showing up and we're showing out and we're clapping. But when it comes to ourselves, there's some pullback. We don't want to put it all on the cards. We don't want to go ahead and have that buy-in for ourselves. But we're here to applaud women and tell them, yes, it's your time. It's necessary. Go in for you. And here are 21 actionable steps that you can take to go from waiting on it to walking in it.
Okay. Now, your target audience for this book is?
Target audience for this particular story is a woman who is waiting to access her yes. A woman who is thinking about having a yes, is feel a little bit timid about having a yes, and was thinking like, should I say yes? Somebody tells you do something, you like, I want to say it, but I'm scared to say that. I'm looking around to check and see, is it okay for me to say it? And then just a woman who's feeling it, saying, yes, honey, I'm saying yes all the way in. So it's for all of those various women. It's to celebrate you where you are, but also to help you take that evolutionary process and continue to go upward. Because as women and as individuals, we're constantly improving, we're constantly becoming more and more of what God called us to be. And so it's for all those various women.
Okay. What life experiences brought this book to life?
Good question. Actually, I was following up with Naked and Not Ashamed, and I was thinking, I heard people on YouTube University say, well, nothing tells your story like your next book. And I was like, okay, so that means I got to write another book to tell about this book. And so I was thinking, okay, well, Chanelle, where are you in life? Where are you as a woman? Where are you as an individual? And there was a time when I questioned myself, where I measured myself by everybody else and what my idea of what everybody else was or how beautiful I saw them. I was constantly comparing myself. There was a time when I could root for everybody else, but I didn't want to root for myself. I was always pushing myself in the background. And so she said yes to herself unapologetically. It's just that evolutionary period, different things that I had to experience, these concepts that I had to understand to take myself into my yes. And so I really wanted to be able to celebrate women and have them take that journey with me if they hadn't started already.
Amen. Amen. And what do you want readers to take away from She Said Yes?
If there's one thing that I can have them take away from She Said Yes to Herself unapologetically, it would be that you are unstoppable, you are beautiful, you are called, you are chosen, you are unmatchless, you are unstoppable, you are phenomenal, and you are worth it. You are worth your yes, and you are deserving. And now is the time, because sometimes we're always waiting for the perfect time to do something, and there is no perfect time, sis. So I'm saying just jump on in, come on in. The weather and the water is fine. Even if you're scared, do it scared.
Amen. Now, can you read an excerpt from your book, please?
Yes, I definitely can. So let me see. I'm going to read from a portion that's not even truly in the book. It's the prelogue to the book, and it talks about breakups. And so many times we think when we're talking about breakups that it has to do with someone else, but no. Sometimes we have to understand that we're the problem, because sometimes this girl right here, she could be the problem. So I wanted us to be able to break up with any negative or toxic or limiting views that we have with ourselves. And so this excerpt is coming from the breakup, and that's what it's entitled. And read this excerpt here. Sorry, I think my phone's from. But we're gonna read this excerpt here, and it's entitled "The Breakup." And it says, "Breakups aren't easy, but there are times in life when they are required. I'm not talking about ending a relationship with someone else. I'm referring to any toxic character traits, tendencies, or versions of yourself. Let's face it, there are times when we've been the problem. We've willingly accepted treatment we knew we weren't worthy of. We took a backseat to our dreams and aspirations. And now we recognize that it's time for us to change this narrative." And can I keep reading, or is that long enough?
Right.
Okay, so there was a time in my life when I allowed myself to become comfortable in my depression. So I parked on the highway of life and allowed the world to pass me by. I allowed my fears to hold me hostage, or I made excuses for my own negative behavior, because love it or hate it, that's just me. Sound familiar? So
Wow. Wow. What did you learn while writing this book?
I learned to be more assertive in my yes, more intentional about going after my yes, knowing that I was walking in all of the skills that God had put me into me. My purpose is redefined in my pain. I've had some painful experiences, but God has allowed me to go through these things to help me to transition, because one thing that I've learned is transition never happens in a comfortable place. Sometimes God has to allow those things that are aggravating or irritating to our feelings and to our spirit to be able to get us to move into spaces and places we would never obtain if it had not been for that trial or that struggle. So I learned a lot, a lot about myself. Process.
Okay. Now give us 3 essential elements from the book.
3 essential elements. It's kind of hard. If I had to pick them, I would say my favorite chapters that I think are really important is that just that number one, transition never happens in a comfortable place.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's so important. Sometimes we get caught up in the thing that we're going through and we can't see past it where God is leading us and we can kind of stay stuck. So I think that that's important. Another important takeaway that I think that there is about the perception. I tell this story because I love DC Marvel characters, and there's this one particular story with the Infinity War where they're trying to fight Thanos, who's this all-powerful being, but they're, even though they have all these odds, Doctor Strange is continuing to look through this stone to see if it's possible, if they can beat Thanos, and he has to look a total of 14,605 times in order for him to get the outcome that says that they're going to win. I don't know about you, but it don't take 14 million. The first 5, 10, 20, 100, 200, I'm thinking I'm not going to continue to look anymore. But there was something in him that just compelled him to continue looking until he saw the opportunity that he wanted. So sometimes in we're waiting for something to happen. And sometimes you just have to go out and you have to create the opportunity because it's not going to come there for you. And so you have to be willing to look until you see the result that it is that you want, because sometimes it's not going to happen if we're just passive. So that's the second takeaway. And the third and final takeaway, do it scared. Many times we allow our fears to really cage us, but your fears can either be a catapult or a cage. They can send you and propel you into something greater. And sometimes I'm doing things that I never would have done before. And people that I know are like, girl, you don't seem like you scared of nothing. And I have to tell them, girl, I'm scared. I'm scared. But I do it scared. I don't allow my fears permission to be able to tell me what I can and can't do. I'm scared, but I just do it scared. So those are my 3 takeaways that I would give to women who are considering reading this book.
Okay. Now you just did a summit. Can you tell us more about that? And I really, really
Oh,
enjoyed that. Yeah.
not even started. First of all, I'm thanking God for all the amazing connections and people who are touching this project. Project is Dr. Velma Bagby. She's a phenomenal speaker, author, relationship expert, just a phenomenal woman of God, an ordained minister. She's touching on this project. We have Dr. Kevin Vaughn, who's our audio and visual leader, but he also is a dynamic businessman and just overall organizational skills. Laquita Parks, who was the publisher extraordinaire. If you need a book published, then you want to check her out at Paper V Publishing. But we had so many different authors and businessmen and women who were touching this project, who were pouring into it because they wanted to see women access their yes. And it's something about being involved with businesses and individuals who are just truly impassioned about seeing women access their yes. And so it was just really powerful. And so she said, yes, it's something that we have ongoing, and we want to continue to motivate, encourage, and inspire.
What is your purpose for this book?
The purpose for this book is to, again, help women realize their yes, take themselves off the back seat, and make their own objectives and desires a reality. Those are things that are very important for us. And just being able just to continue to see people grow. That's just an amazing thing to see somebody who was one moment scared and saying, hey, I can't do this or I can't do that. And then now they're saying, yes, I can do it.
Amen. What are you currently working on right now?
What am I currently working on right now? I am working on, of course, another summit, because we'll be doing that again this fall. And we will, I'm also, of course, I have some additional books that are getting ready to come out as well. So I'm always excited about that.
Okay. Do you have any book events coming up soon?
Yes, I do. Actually, I have a speaking engagement that I'm very excited about. That's going to be happening in May, on May 13th. I'm also excited about the opportunity to be able to do some pop-up shops and things that we have going on locally here in Milwaukee. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Okay. Now, can you tell us about the summit that is coming in June?
Yes, well, the summit that's coming in June is going to be no holds bar. Of course, we have some additional surprises, things that we can't talk about. What I can say is that we, of course, are going to have the dream team, Dr. Velma Bagby, Laquita Parks, Dr. Kevin Vaughn, and we have some new things that we're getting ready to roll out. We really want to take our breakout sessions and kind of really up level those things. So the after party is always something that's amazing. We plan on doing something a little bit differently with our swag bag this session. So we're really excited to be able to connect with leaders, those who are passionate about their message, whether they're an author, a business person, or just an individual with a powerful story. We would love to be able to connect with them.
Okay. Now, how can readers find you and your books?
I'm so glad you asked that. They can find my books on the She Said Yes to Herself.com platform, www.shesaidyes2herself.com. But they can also find the books. Well, I want them to go ahead and grab the ebook of She Said Yes to Herself unapologetically on Amazon, because the ebook is only $1.
All right. And is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
Yes, I will. First of all, thank you so very much. I really appreciate this opportunity to connect with both you and your audience. I just want to again inspire, motivate, and encourage women to be able to realize their yes. I believe that they're amazing and that God has something that's in store for just them. So they should just continue to go forward and to live forth in all their dreams.
Amen. Amen. But before you go, I want to play a game of this or that, Arthur
Okay.
edition.
Yes. Okay. It sounds fun.
Okay. Are you a plotter or pantser?
Counselor. But I
Silence.
can slide sometimes. But okay, about pounds.
Okay. Silence or music while writing?
Silence.
Me too. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Do you use the phone or computer more when you're
Phone. Everything is the phone. Phone, everything.
writing? Are you a morning or night when you write?
Night, because it's quiet.
Okay. And do you like book signings or writers' conferences?
Oh. I'll say book signings. That one was hard, really hard. But I'm gonna say book signings. I love talking with people and engaging with them on a one-on-one basis and being able to kind of interact, and you can kind of know what you said that might have been impactful or what they read. You know what I mean? So, but you have that experience too. But I'm just gonna just say the I'm gonna say the book signings.
And one more thing, I just seen behind you is this Women of Dignity magazine. What is that?
Oh, well, I was in the Women of Dignity magazine last year with the release of Joy Comes in the Morning, the anthology that I was with Dr. Vanessa Bagby. No,
Yeah.
not Bagby, sorry, Vanessa Blackwell. So we had a #1 run with that, and it was really exciting. And so we had some magazine opportunities, and so she's up on my back on my back screen. So yes.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate you.
All right. You have a blessed day. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy talking. Bye, y'all.